There wasn't a whole lot going on through the air, and it took a while for Georgia to really heat up, but 6 rushing touchdowns and a dominant ground game helped the number 2 Georgia Bulldogs to a 42-10 win against Auburn. Hey everybody, this is Sarah Spencer with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and this is Know Your Dogs. To help me break down Georgia's win, I'll be joined by Kirby Smart, Stetson Bennett, Nolan Smith, Kenny McIntosh, and my coworker, our Georgia beat writer, Chip Towers. So stay with us.
I mean, I still think there's inconsistencies. There's things we miss on, we miss a couple, we miss a block here, a guy runs through, a couple times the backs just made people miss. We had a 3rd and 2 that we didn't touch anybody, and Dejan made 2 people miss, but it was much better at the line of scrimmage. We played more physical at the line of scrimmage, and I thought that we wore the other team down, which, the environment was a little different too. It's just the heat wears on defensive linemen, and some teams have more they can use and some teams don't.
Georgia outgained Auburn 292-93 on the ground, and running back Dejan Edwards led the way with 3 rushing touchdowns. Here's what Georgia coach Kirby Smart and fellow running back Kenny McIntosh said about Edwards' toughness.
Well, I was excited, man. It seemed like guys going out there doing what they got to do. But my message to him was just, keep going, do your thing. Because, like I said, I've been seeing him doing this. Like, he's been doing this all in practice and stuff like that.
I thought he did a great job. He does a really good job around the goal line, making people miss. He's elusive, but not so much explosive. He does a great job of probably not going to break off a super long run, but he gets a lot of positive runs. It's really hard to get him for a tackle for a loss, and the addition of Branson was really big for us. He was a guy that we felt like all week we had to get more opportunities for him because he's run the ball really well in practice. He gives us a little bit of a burst, and he was able to get some carries with Kendall dinged up, and I thought he did a nice job.
Keeping with the run game, quarterback Stetson Bennett got in on the action with a 64-yard touchdown run. That was the longest run of the day. Freshman Branson Robinson added a team-high 98 rushing yards, and senior running back Kenny McIntosh had 37 rushing yards and a touchdown. Georgia quarterback Stetson Bennett was 7 for 13 for 25 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions at halftime, so it was a slow start for him. He also had a fumble when taking a sack early in the 3rd quarter. He actually finished 22 for 32, 208 passing yards, so it ended up looking a little bit better, but here's what he said about why the passing attack struggled so much in the first half.
I think we were pressing a little bit in the first half because, we all want so bad to freaking be the best. But I don't know. Towards the end, we started just having fun, just throw it and catch it. Just beat your man, I'll throw you the ball, and catch it. Either run some more or fall down. And I think in the first half we were pressing. We weren't having fun.
Georgia linebacker Nolan Smith prevented Georgia from giving up another fake punt. I asked him, was he happy with Georgia holding Auburn to only 93 rushing yards, and his answer was not at all.
I still think that's too much. When Coach Smart said it in the locker room, that's just too much. That's just not our brand of football, man. We physical up front and we strike, and we got to hold people less than 90, less than 80, and stuff like that.
All right, everybody, let's bring in my coworker, our Georgia beat writer, Chip Towers. Chip, Georgia has now won 6 in a row over Auburn, which my mind can't even comprehend that. Can yours?
No, it's really crazy. I haven't covered all of these in the 127 year. This was 127.
You haven't been on the beat 127 years?
I haven't covered all of them, but traditionally it's such a close series, and really kind of sad in some, because not only has Georgia won 6 in a row, they won 6 in a row by an average of 20 points a game, so they haven't been close. And tonight, 42-10 was a perfect example.
I had a few people on Twitter talking, thank goodness we are back to the ground and pound. Now, some of that is maybe because you're playing Auburn, and Auburn's not very good this year.
Yeah.
No offense to Auburn, but, they're struggling. What did you see? Just 6 rushing touchdowns. What did you like about the rushing attack today?
Yeah, it looked a little bit like some old 1970s Georgia and Auburn. Vince Dooley was hospitalized today. I know he was loving it. Barbara Dooley told me that he was going to be home watching it. He's an Auburn alum. That's the way he coached Georgia football for a long time. Georgia has 300 yards rushing nearly, and really needed every bit of it because they couldn't throw the ball. Stetson had a tough night. And so to see him go kind of old school in this game was refreshing for everybody.
Let's talk about that pass attack a little bit. It did open up quite a bit in the 4th quarter to the point where you look at it on paper, if you didn't watch the game, you're like, Stetson had a decent game. Even if he didn't have a touchdown pass, it looks better on paper than it probably was.
Yeah, I think a lot of the the national guys that are going to just look at the score in this box score might misread this game a little bit because, I mean, Stetson's struggling. He said it himself. We talked to him after the game, and he was just, you know, I don't know what it was. I was just missing open guys. I mean, he had some really open receivers that he was just overthrowing, a couple of misreads, those kind of things. You got to the fourth quarter, and Georgia, you know, took control of the game, and it looked like they finally relaxed. I mean, he said that the offense as a whole was kind of pressing in the first half. They only led 14-3. They were trying to be perfect. They were trying to be better than they had been. And at the end of the day, they just needed to relax and do what they knew they could do.
Let's talk special teams real quick because they're literally breaking down the field behind us and
Yes.
need to put up a tarp, and we're in the way. A really good return for Ladd McConkey. I thought that was good to see. He did have that muff. I mean, he recovered it earlier in the game. And then Georgia almost got beat on another fake punt, but didn't, thanks to Nolan Smith.
Yeah, that's the thing about Georgia's special teams. They're winning them every week, and that's, you know, despite having Ladd McConkey, you know, fumble one earlier and mishandle one in this game. You know, Georgia's had a block punt this year, and they snuffed out that fake punt that was Kirby was talking about a little while ago. He said they had it, but it was just a great individual play by Nolan Smith to recognize it and get that guy down short of the stick. So Georgia's playing very, very well on special teams.
Chip, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you go to ajc.com or subscribe to our YouTube channel to find more videos just like this one.